So hi, it's Andrew and Kindra from TechRaptor here. We're here with Matt from CD Projekt Red. We're going to talk about Gwent, maybe some other things. Well, it depends on what he wants to talk about. So what can people look forward to with Gwent? Just to tell them about it.
So, depends if people know it or not. It's a battle between two armies, and basically it's very unique. Its uniqueness comes from the mechanic that basically you have to win 2 out of 3 rounds, and you have no resource management. Basically, you get 10 cards at start, and you have to use these 10 cards through these 3 rounds. That's the only amount you get. There are some cards that can draw, but that is it. So it is pretty unique mechanics in its genre, I would say. But aside from that, if you liked it in The Witcher Free World Hunt, where it was game within the game, we have upgraded virtually everything in it. We have added more abilities, we have added new cards, we have added new mechanics, and so on. So even if you're familiar with it, you have, I think, pretty a lot of stuff to be looking forward to.
Yeah, we actually played it this morning, me and Kindra, and we liked it quite a bit. One of the big things that's selling it is that it's got a single player experience.
Yes.
So how important was that? Why'd you go with that instead of doing it like just the card game itself?
Yes.
And
so definitely this is super important for me, especially because that's why I joined the team. Previously I worked as a lead quest designer on The Witcher Free World Hunt, so I was responsible for design and implementation of the quests in the game and the story, of course. So when I joined this team, I had to come up with a way to tell stories through this medium. And basically you can expect to lead an army. Your army will grow as you go through the campaigns. Each campaign will be tailored around a specific faction. So basically they will be all very unique. And,
so will the 4, do they go down totally different story, or they're going to be kind of interconnected, or?
We're fleshing it out still.
Okay.
There might be some interconnections, but you can expect to have a different characters you'll be playing, actually.
Okay.
And as you might expect from us, basically the game will feature a lot of choices and consequences, with impactful consequences.
Yeah.
So, and those will be, of course, shades of gray because it's the Witcher universe still, just approached from a different perspective. Basically, when you played The Witcher Wild Hunt, you played this outcast, monster slayer, travels the land, meets people, and so on. In this case, you're building an army, so you're more of a leader figure. And basically, the choices you will encounter will also be seen from this perspective.
Okay, so
they said that there are 4 factions of cards right now, and they specifically mentioned that Nilfgaard isn't among them. Is there plans for that?
Of course. I mean, Nilfgaard was a faction known to the players from the original Gwent in Witcher Wild Hunt. It's a faction we will release, but currently we are working on these 4.
Okay.
Speaking of what the players are familiar with, and I can kind of see from the backdrop over here that I might already know the answer. Are you going to be taking characters that might have not been in Witcher 3 but were in Witcher 1 and 2, or from the books?
Definitely. You might expect to meet characters from different games and from the books as well, but also new characters that we have designed especially for this game.
And so one of the things that...
just one
Go
addition.
ahead. No, go.
I just wanted to add, I think the universe of The Witcher is so rich. There are so many cool characters we didn't show yet, and some characters that we did show, but there was no place for them in Witcher Free World Hunt. That I think they're definitely worth exploring and bringing them to life in the game. Sorry.
No problem. So one of the things when we were in the presentation that was mentioned was there's going to be a lot of choices. That and one thing they mentioned that you might lose cards or you gain a card.
Yes.
And those that seem to simplify like someone that you recruited is now mad at you, so they left, or something like that. So how expansive are those choices going to be? Like, what kind of consequences are we talking about?
So some consequences will impact the fate of the kingdom. Some will impact people's lives, and some of them will impact how your army behaves and who is in the army. So let's say two characters will join your army, and I mean, if you will take both of them in, they don't really like each other, or they might get into an argument, which might even, maybe might even cause a revolt within your ranks. But it's really very contextual and it depends on specific scenarios. So, but that's, I think, the extent you could expect from it. But like I said, it will also impact the environment you're exploring, the cities you find, the villages you find, and so on.
So how is that single player going to interact with the multiplayer? Because they said in an interview last night, they said they didn't want people to feel like they have to rely on the single player to make a cool deck.
Yes.
So how exactly is that going to play out?
Well, the single player will have its own separate deck, that is for sure, because, like I said, you're building up your army, and you will do it through the single player campaign. And if you want to go online and play with your friends, you want to have your own collection of cards, right? Obviously. So these two are separate, and there will be probably some interconnections between the two, but it's very early on, so we're still fleshing it out. It's still to be decided exactly how we want to approach this subject.
Yeah,
Do you know if the multiplayer is going to be free to play? Is the single player also going to be free, or is that going to be pay for campaigns?
Again, it's very early to say. Each of them will be substantial amount of content, like 10 plus hours. So, we might think of releasing it as expansions, but for me, it's very early to say because, we have monetization specialists in our team that are thinking about these things, and I expect them to announce something once we know exactly how we want to do it.
So like with how you acquire cards and multiplayer, that's still up in the air, how that's going to happen?
Yes, I mean, because we are approaching different angles at it. And as you might know, we have announced yesterday on Microsoft conference that we will be launching closed beta in September for PC and Xbox One. So we will also see what is the players' feedback, how they would like to make it done. And, our company is known for listening to the fans and listening to the players, and their voice is very important for us. That is one of the reasons why we even do the closed beta.
I already signed up.
Cool.
So for multiplayer, do you have any plans to do esports or anything really competitive?
I think that would be awesome. But
if there's an interest.
Exactly, if there is interest, I think that's the key. I think definitely the game has potential for it because, like I said, basically, the game is very easy to get into, like it was in The Witcher, but I think with the new cards and abilities we have added, it has crazy amount of depth. We are playing it very often in the office, and we are building different decks and, experimenting. And there are still things we find that, we didn't expect when they designed the cards, gameplay designers. So, like I said, I think it definitely has the potential. It's pretty fast-paced, so this is also a plus for the streams, I suppose. But the time will tell. We'll see how players will respond to it. Rather.
So what new mechanics could people like? What's the biggest new one that you guys like that you added that wasn't in The Witcher 3?
So, like I said, we added a lot of abilities. Like, for example, there are cards that when you bring them back from the graveyard, then they become stronger. There are some cards that allow you to choose which ability they will trigger. There are some new special cards. So, for example, we have added a Plague card, which works like Scorch card, but basically kills off the weakest cards on the board instead of the strongest ones. So we're introducing those, twists to the things that you might have known, and, we're improving upon them. And also in the future, we are planning to release new game modes, which we are still fleshing out as well. So I'd say these are the biggest changes. Also, there's one more big thing. We have redefined the deck building. Because basically, as you might remember, in The Witcher, when you were building your deck, you could have taken unlimited amount of heroes, let's say. And heroes are very special, strong cards that, they are resistant to the special effects and so on. So taking too much of them might, impact balancing of the game, right? So right now you can have total up to 4 heroes in your deck, but because of this, they can be still kept as very special with very unique abilities, and I think they are very cool. So,
Well, Well, I'm going to try to ask you this question. It's not Gwent related, but it's actually related to Witcher 1 and 2,
Okay.
not to what you're probably thinking in your head. We had some people asking us if you guys have any plans for Witcher 1 and 2 to release them as remastered or HD editions or anything like that.
Well, as far as I know, nothing like this is being discussed right now. But I mean, a lot of people actually mentioned it on the forums. Like, I think someone even tried to do a, fun version of remastered Witcher 1, if I remember correctly. So it's definitely something that is interesting. But, it's not something I could impact. It's something you should ask the, upper management, I suppose.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else you want to add about Gwent that you want people to know, or?
I don't know. I mean, I think we talked about most of it. I think what I would like to say is that, like I said, I worked on the story in The Witcher, and I'm really, really doing everything I can to make the story in this one great as well. Actually, one of the writers that worked for The Witcher on The Witcher Wild Hunt, that was working on the Bloody Baron storyline, is working also with us on this. Karolina Stachera. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, and she is as well, and we have a bunch of ideas, and I think it will be great.
The last question we wanted to ask is, what's your favorite Gwent card, personally?
That's a good one. I think from the fluff perspective, I really like Zoltan because I like this character, and now he gets his companion from the books, Field Marshal Duda. So he's basically this swearing parrot that can demoralize your opponents on the board or make your allies stronger. But I mean, there are a lot of really useful cards that I really like, so it's really hard to pick one. And now that they get all this new, all cool art, it's really hard to pick one.
All right, well, thanks for talking with us.
Thank you
Good
for
luck
having
with Gwent. We enjoyed it. I hope everybody else continues to enjoy it. So again, that was Andrew and Kindra at TechRaptor with Matt from CD Projekt Red.